I denounce the light. I now seek power in the primal, salvation in unholy scripture. Ladies, gentlemen, and Horadric of all ages, it's an exciting time in the world of Diablo 4. We've had the announcement of the next new class coming in the Lord of Hated expansion in just a couple of months, and with that, I am finally allowed to tell you all that I have personally played this class as we were invited out to Blizzard HQ in California recently, along with a bunch of other Diablo creators, to check these things out and actually test the class, as well as talk directly with the developers about both the class and the expansion itself. Today, I will be focusing on the publicly revealed things from this announcement today, as my actual footage and detailed thoughts from said playtest are currently embargoed, but I will share them all as soon as I am allowed to do so. That said, let's talk about what was announced today surrounding Diablo 4, with the actual class-specific news being a little bit surface level, mostly just the announcement of what the class is, but we have that confirmation of the Warlock, the newest class coming to the game, and also to Diablo 2, and also to Diablo Immortal, because Warlock is being added to all three of these games, which is pretty awesome for people who play those other games too. But we focus on Diablo 4 on this channel here, so I'll focus to the Diablo 4 relevant stuff specifically. The bulk of what we got for D4 though was about the new map region and the new endgame mechanics and system reworks at the core of the Lord of Hated expansion. Starting with Warlock then, there's an awesome trailer for it that they made, and it even spans across multiple games as well. This basically shows the lore of the Warlock, the identity of the Warlock, and the sort of themes behind it too, binding the demons to use against the forces of hell, controlling the darkness to work with you instead of steadfastly fighting against it like most other classes do, with a big part of the reason for this being one of our two new classes in Diablo 4 being the pure contrast, the Paladin as the paragon of light, and then now Warlock as the anti-hero of all anti-heroes. That said, we didn't get any Warlock gameplay proper for Diablo 4 specifically at least, but we did get the announcement that there will be a full deep dive stream on this new class coming on March 5th. So tune into that if you are interested in more information on the class itself. Instead, the rest of today will be focused on the new region and systems. The new region is Skavos, a very intentionally Mediterranean feeling to it, and in my opinion, it is the most beautiful looking area in Diablo 4. Most of the game is meant to feel very grimy, dark, beaten down, and ragged. Nahantu has a beauty to it in its own way, being a properly overgrown jungle, but Skavos has this like ancient beauty to it. It has gigantic gleaming statues, big statement-making architecture, and personally I just love the look of this area. And beyond that, they have said the main hub area of Skavos was designed to be as streamlined as possible for endgame play, keeping everything that you could possibly want as efficiently accessible together as possible. And while we were given hints about the long storied history of the region and the mysteries that will be unfolding, the story is being kept with a pretty tight lid on it as of this point. As for the systems in the game, the big one that was discussed is War Plans. This system will give you a branching path within which you can make choices, with those choices being between various endgame activities that you will get different rewards for in a row. These choose from either the Pit, Infernal Hordes, Helltide, Nightmare Dungeons, Lair Bosses, or the Undercity, and these choices will come with enhanced rewards, but also enhanced difficulty, making it more rewarding to engage with more varied activities, instead of the ideal farming method just being to farm the same thing over and over and over again for weeks at a time. This is pushed even further by the fact that each of these activities will have their own unique skill tree type mechanic tied to the activity through the War Plans. This will allow you to actively change how that activity plays, how the monsters inside of the activity work, and further augment both the difficulty and the rewards just in general, as well as being able to do things like make Lair Bosses show up inside of Nightmare Dungeons as a pretty potent example of how the system will work. As well, they discussed a new rare event called Echoing Hatred. This is a rare random drop while playing that gives you the ticket to enter Echoing Hatred. The activity is an endless wave spawning activity where each wave there are more monsters and more difficult monsters, and it's made to just test your build and your power. It is intended to have variations between each time that you do the activity, and of course the reward is based on how many waves you make it through before you perish. As well, worth noting that during this section in the top right corner, you can see Torment 5. Difficulty is what is being played on here. Just thought that I should mention that while we're here as a bit of food for thought. In essence, the endgame changes are about giving you more efficient variety in activities and more personal control to
to focus on the things that you actually like engaging with while making them more rewarding at the same time. They are reworking all the skill trees significantly, which is something that we were vaguely teased on before, but now they are showing like full-on trees here. And the simple thing to say is that they are way deeper, more going on with them. They're much more complex than they were before. But the big thing that I want to focus on is that there are no passive skills that we can see on these trees. But every active skill now has like 2 augmentations that you can make to it on top of the previous changes, which means that you now have 3 separate ways that you can customize each active skill. 2 separate augmentation choices that you have to make with those, and then the proper enhancements now have 3 choices that you have to choose between, and these seem much more meaningful and varied than they were before too, like fully changing up the way that abilities deal damage or how they function as a base, like making some Barbarian abilities deal fire damage instead of physical, or the one that they dove a little bit deeper into was Hydra for Sorcerer, with the big shift enhancement for it, making them be Frost Hydras instead of Fire Hydras. As well, they mentioned the other things that you can do for Hydra are things like increasing their attack speed, increasing duration of their burn, causing explosions from their shots when they actually connect with enemies, or burn everything in a radius around them. It's just a few examples of how these changes affect even just a single active skill, just Hydra for just Sorcerer, and they've done this for every active skill in the game. Beyond that, they showed the Talisman a bit better, which is constructed of 2 separate pieces. The seal is the thing that you put in the center. It basically decides how many charms you can equip with your Talisman. Charms have things like set bonuses, which are larger power increases for your character that only activate once you have enough pieces of that charm set equipped at the same time. Obviously, we have very limited view of the system so far, but set bonuses are massive sources of power in Diablo 3 at the very least, though the system in that game works very differently than it seems to be going to work in Diablo 4. Then we also got a slightly closer look at the Horadric Cube, our source of more advanced methods of crafting coming to the game in the Lord of Hated expansion as well. And this included the ability to do things like reroll an item, where if you put 3 of the same unique item in, you can get a fresh roll of that unique, which is just a great recycling based system. Beyond that, the last thing that they took the time to point out was the addition of loot filters. Finally, we have been asking for loot filters for such a long time now, not just since release of the game, even before the release of the game with the early beta playtest, and we are finally getting loot filters added to the game with the expansion, and they seem to have quite a bit of detail in the system around loot filters too, and the UI for it, at least the actual filter screen, has a lot of options, so here's hoping that they are effective at what they set out to do with these loot filters too. That's everything that was announced today then, everyone. Again, they made a point of saying March 5th is the big day for Warlock reveals. If you want more of those, pay attention then. But today was mostly just the main announcement of it existing, and then some talk about features coming alongside the expansion itself. I cannot wait to talk to you guys about what I got to experience playing Warlock early by myself, and unfortunately, I do have to wait to do that, but what I can say for now is that it's just cool as all hell. I had a great time hanging out with all the other creators down in California as well, and I just am so excited to be able to show you guys how the class works. That does it for today then, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and let me know your own thoughts on this stuff in the comments down below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.